Welcome back to my classroom. In the lecture number 2, we have discussed about significance of biochemical engineering, and we started off with the story of penicillin production. So in this lecture number 3, we will continue the story of penicillin. Ready? One good thing Fleming has done is he has preserved that culture, right? Preserving the culture is an important activity in microbiology. Even in India, we have an Cell Culture Preserving Institute, which is an autonomous institute of Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. We have National Center for Cell Sciences. We can they preserve all the cultures that is identified or colonies that are identified in India. Another such institute is NCIM Pune, which is National Collection of Industrial Microorganisms, where they have several strains, catalog of strains you can find for algae, bacteria, fungi, and yeast. And if you look at their catalog, they are given in some arrangement of data as per their numbers, and there are abbreviations also. And with respect to catalog of strains for algae, bacteria, fungi, and yeast, and what is the media formulation required for each microorganism that we wish to buy, and what are the strains even with respect to special applications like specific application, we can choose some of the bacteria, fungi, or yeast for a given application. So that way this catalog book we can refer to this institute's website, and then we can order our bacteria. The primary function of this is to maintain the cultures of algae, bacteria, fungi, and yeast as listed above, and of whichever is may be useful for scientific or industrial interest, and they will supply them to the industrial people, research people, and educational establishment for research or industrial use purpose. Okay. Okay, if you ask me sir, I want to do my BTech project or my PG project in this area, is it any nearby institute available? Yeah, we have an institute called CSAR, Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology in Hyderabad. So they have a very good facility with laminar flow, with CO2 incubators, microscopes, electroporators, cold room storage, freezers, cryopreservation containers, and they have a dedicated staff with trained personnel. Also, they give training to people. And we have another well-known institute called Microbial Type Culture Collection and Gene Bank, MTCC Chandigarh. So they are there for at least 25 years. They are established as a distinguished culture collection center for particularly Indian resources. Okay, that is Indian origin microorganisms from various ecological niche areas of India. So they have the collection of about 20,000 microbial cultures are there for bacteria, fungi, yeast, and plasmids. So how to get these kind of strains or microorganisms from them? It won't be available at ease to everyone to get it. Okay, this thing, remember, these microorganisms will not be given to a random person. So because you know that it can be used either for a good use or even bad use. So that way, with proper institute letterhead, if you are writing, they will be giving. It's not that you pay money, they will give it to everyone. Okay. So that thing has to be taken care. If you want to buy it for research purpose, we have to give them an undertaking in our letter pad that so this student wants to use this microorganism for this particular research, kindly provide it. We will make the payment check or online payment. So then they will give this strains. Okay. We will continue the story of penicillin production. Okay. We preserved that culture carefully so that in future anytime it can be taken out. It may be saved under these conditions. Okay, particular whatever condition is optimum for it, or it has to be kept in a particular temperature, lower temperature. Okay, so usually in cold storage kind of thing, so they are kept it. Okay, so but whatever culture you preserved, at least for 10 years, at least for a decade, no further research was done in that time. Okay, because after that nobody is interested that thing. But what necessitated again the requirement of antibiotics was the world war. So there are a flip side of every war, and there are some good things happen because of as a result of war also. One of them is during this World War II was happening for several years, right? So that time people are getting injured in the war, and there was a requirement of new drug. People getting all the injuries needed drug. We need to produce lot of drug for the war patients or people got affected by the war. Okay, so
Excuse me, sir. Hello.
yeah, so in World War II, that it necessitated the preparation of drugs for future use. So particularly because whatever drug, by the time there was a drug called sulfa drug. Okay, so this sulfa drug had some limitations in the application. It had a lot of limitations. Okay, because it's having the very less activity with respect to its activity. So the sulfa drug had very limited range of activity. So that's why there was a demand for a new drug to be developed, particularly with in view of this war patients, all that. Okay, so what happened? There is what we find is, and so there is a need for antibiotic with minimal side effects, because almost we have to be aware of the side effects whenever we take antibiotic, right? Even doctors advise don't take too much of antibiotics. So these antibiotics with minimal side effects and broader applicability. It should be applicable to various diseases, right? So that way broader applicability was desperately needed. So the antibiotic with minimal side effects and broader applicability was needed over that time. So that gave some necessary impetus to resurrect the discovery of penicillin. So by that time only, as I said, I told you earlier also, there are two scientists who involved in that one from Oxford University, Howard Florey and Ernst Chain. So these two are the people who gave this resurrection to this penicillin discovery. So what they did, they decided to further study. They decided first further study this Fleming's discovery. So what they did, so these two people, Henry Florey and Ernst Chain, and also they made use of the other person called Norman Wheatley. So he is a well-known biochemist by that time. So he played the role of what is a today modern biochemical engineer. Now then they didn't call him as biochemical engineer, but if you look at the role that he has played, today a biochemical engineer is playing what this Norman Wheatley did in this penicillin discovery, penicillin production in bulk scale. Okay, so the thing is he helped them to, he supplied these two people, this Oxford discovery, these Oxford professors, Oxford researchers from the Oxford University, Henry Florey. So to Florey and Chain, he supplied, what he did, he supplied, Norman Wheatley supplied the necessary materials, all the materials, sufficient materials are supplied to him. Okay, he supplied the sufficient amount of materials. At that time they had very limited understanding of the microorganisms, all that. Okay, fermentation technology or enzyme technology, whatever. So with whatever that thing, he was helping them to provide whatever is the thing to test the effectiveness of the penicillin. They wanted to test it, right? So these people wanted to use, because he had reported, Fleming reported that penicillin has the capacity for antimicrobial activities, properties, right? So they wanted to do testing. To do test, they need a lot of this penicillin, right? So that way, how to make all this penicillin in large quantity, Wheatley only helped them. So he made a particular assay. Assay is like a particular medium which will have which will provide the necessary
materials that is required to for the growth of the particular organism. Okay, so that they will, it helped them to determine, their aim is to determine what is the mechanism, kinetics of the fermentation. Okay, kinetics of the fermentation. And for this they developed a culture technique. As I said, culture technique, where they call it as culture means, so they developed a culture technique which can be implemented easily, and for this method this is being used for longer period. Even now some people use this one. So they made use of the back extraction principle. That principle what they used is called back extraction principle or process, we can say. So they use the process of back extraction process to recover this very delicate product. Remember, it cannot be easily made without essential conditions. Okay, so that way they developed a particular technique. They first tried to understand the kinetics of fermentation. They made a cultural technique and they made a back extraction process. That means they proposed this process. Okay, so several months they kept working on this and they tested it for lab animals. Okay, so they tested it in lab animals for several months. Okay, and after that what they did, they tested in patients. So whoever is blood infection is there, whoever is affected blood infection people, so such all the patients are tested. Okay, so they tested. What they observed is, even for particular patient who is about to die, that this penicillin, what when they given to him, it almost he came back to proper thing. So as I said, this particular person is supplying him, what is it, this biochemist Norman Hitley was supplying them with a small amount of penicillin. So as long as they were giving it to a particular patient who is very severely injured in the war, so what they observed is, as long as he was given this penicillin, he was able to survive a normal back to life, you can say back to life condition he came. But what happened suddenly, there is, as I said, that time they did not have all the facility to produce them in bulk quantity. Okay, so immediately what happened, there was stock got over. Immediately that patient could not be provided with this penicillin, so he finally died. Okay, so that is unfortunate. Then they realized that but they displayed by doing this particular experiments, means by doing this activity, what they told is, they have demonstrated to the world, to the scientific society, that the penicillin has a very good potential to save the lives of the people. So there is a need to produce them in large quantity. So that's what they gave to this world. So we need to produce this penicillin, okay, in large quantity. That's what they have proved. Okay, if you have, say for example, if a large quantity of penicillin was there, these patients could have been saved. When there was a shortage, no supply of penicillin, they all died. Okay, so that way they demonstrated to the world and ensured everyone understand that there is a need to produce penicillin in large quantities. Okay, and to produce penicillin in large quantity, will a biochemist will able to do, because here in this case Norman Hitley can produce that in laboratory scale. As a biochemist, he can only do it in that scale only. So what he understood, we need the help of engineers. So in addition to microbiologists, physiologists, that is a doctors who treat the patients, microbiologists, physiologists, life scientists, they can make this penicillin, but there is a role of an engineer, particularly a chemical engineer, is needed to produce them in large quantity. So that is the lesson learned from these happenings. Okay, so but unfortunately they were doing all this research in Great Britain. Okay, and I told you that this is a time where World War II was taking place. So during this Great Britain, all the industries were see, remember, under war no democratic things will happen. Okay, so if a country is under war, there is no standard protocols to be followed. Whatever government says, government, it is like emergency situation, government says all the schools will be turned into hospitals, all the school will be turned into training of military people staying quarters, like that they will convert all the things. Similarly, all the industries were converted, all the industries whichever producing different products were totally say that all your production should reach the war field purposes. So war purposes only all the industries used to work. So they were not able to do this large quantity preparation of penicillin in Great Britain. But that time in World War II, USA was not part of it. USA was not taking part in World War II. So what they did, they contacted these people and they convinced the pharmaceutical companies there. So these people contacted the pharmaceutical companies through the researcher network only. Okay, to pursue, they even convinced these pharmaceutical companies to produce penicillin. Okay, remember USA was not in war that time, that's why they are able to, they have to go to other country from Great Britain to USA. So they also accepted the challenge. All the pharmaceutical industries, even the researchers in the academic area or the research areas, all of them were coming into picture. So for example, some of the companies, you know, can you name some companies, pharmaceutical, all the players who are producing our vaccines now also for even COVID-19. Okay, so for example, Pfizer, Merck. So these are some of the famous companies in US that time who accepted the challenge and they started doing this one. There is some USDA and there is some NRRL. NRRL stands for Northern Research Regional Laboratory. Northern Regional Research Laboratory. It is in Illinois. Okay, so that way, so these people are working together to make this penicillin in large quantity. Okay, so that also there were no established procedure, right? They accepted that we will produce this in large quantity, that's all. So but what happened, it is actually involving a fermentation process. Okay, so that means that there are several hundreds of chemists, biochemists working to make that one, and there were a lot of efforts to do this chemical synthesis of this particular penicillin. Okay, instead of fermentation process, there were a lot of effort was done towards chemical synthesis of penicillin, because they were thinking that that is the best way to do, because they are not ready to accept this fermentation process. Okay, because whatever result was obtained for this fermentation process was only modest. Okay, the results of fermentation process only modest. Okay, so that way then until 1950s, okay, all this chemical synthesis was only done, and after that only coming into picture by Elder in 1970s, first commercial fermentation process for penicillin production was done. So that is that even he has written in his books. Okay, so what he did is, even though, because fermentation process, the disadvantage is, for example, from 1939, what they got is like 0.001 grams per liter of the solution. This much grams of penicillin was obtained when this per liter of the thing. Okay, so in that, if you compare, even gold amount of gold present in the sea water is more than this amount of penicillin obtained as the product through fermentation. Okay, so that way this penicillin is very fragile and unstable product also. So that is the reason we are not able to isolate it and get the product recovery more than 0.001. Okay, so but now it has been increased well. Okay, at least 10 times. This, as I said, here NRRL people, so they worked hard to increase this recovery to 10-fold. So that way, these life scientists present in the NRRL Illinois developed a corn-strip liquor lactose based medium, so that we can recover more amount of penicillin, which is in penicillin is produced, is increased by 10 times more. Okay, So 10 times for tenfold of penicillin production was increased by these researchers as NRRL Illinois. Okay, life scientists are there, they are able to make this one. Okay, similarly, and what gave big leap in this penicillin research is separation, isolation of particular species. Okay, penicillin chrysogenum strain. This particular strain give a big hope for the people. Okay, because it was this was isolated from some fruit market. Okay, so but it gave some superior results. So it gave some superior results, and this is even now this is being used in commercial fermenters for penicillin production. So in all the commercial fermenter for penicillin production till date, this penicillin chrysogenum is the strain which is being used to make this penicillin, and they produced some very good yield, relatively high yield was obtained. Okay, but however there are some limitations with this, or that is that it is a longer growing cycle. It has a long growing cycle and very labor intensive. We have to be very careful, right? Very labor intensive. We need some skilled labor who knows how to sterilize, how to maintain that thing. Okay, so that way it is labor intensive. It means a lot of monitoring by the people, and also we have to maintain, we have to take care of the oxygen supply, right? So that is needed. Oxygen supply needs to be taken care, and there is a heat removal has to be taken care, and we have to take care of contamination by foreign materials. Remember, this itself was identified as a contamination only, but still we have to ensure that no other contamination comes into picture, right? Contamination by foreign materials, you can say foreign microorganisms. Okay, so which may, because to we what we are do, we want to grow penicillin, we are supplying some oxygen, we are supplying some nutrients to it, right? Nutrient or oxygen is being supplied to grow penicillin, but if some foreign particle is present, what will happen? They will consume the nutrients, and also what will they will do, they once they consume the nutrient, they are going to produce some byproducts, right? So that may be toxic byproduct also. So that way we have to take care that when you are working with this microorganism, no contamination should take place. And also when you have to supply oxygen continuously, supply nutrient, like, so we are not going to have a batch reactor or flow reactor, right? So usually for all these are done in fed batch reactor. Okay, so semi batch reactor types, or you can say modified batch reactor. So we have to introduce the nutrients then and there, right? As it is consumed, we have to introduce, right? So that was a challenge in designing the reactor. So there was a challenge to produce them in bulk quantity. We could not do it in a flow reactor. So designing a particular type of reactor to make the penicillin was a big challenge. So that's where the role of a biochemical engineer is understood. So we have to understand that, and we, along with it, another thing is also, even the product is produced, how to separate it, how to isolate the product. So that way product recovery or separation of the product also an important issue or big challenge it was there. Okay, product recovery and purification. Even after recovery, we have to purify the product, right? So all this became a big challenge. Okay, but however, this Pfizer company, Pfizer, within 6 months, they took just 6 months to display some 14 tanks of, it's like bioreactor, let me say 14 bioreactors, each with 7,000 gallons capacity, they were able to make. Hello. So as I said, this Pfizer company, within 6 months, they were able to make these 14 tanks of 7,000 gallon capacity each. Okay, so that way at the end of this World War II, USA could be able to, this was very useful, particularly at the end of the World War II, almost 1 lakh patients per year have been treated using the penicillin which was produced using from this Pfizer company. Okay, so they were able to treat at least 1 lakh patient that time. You remember 40s. So at that time, per year they are able to treat 1 lakh patients per year using the penicillin. So that was they realized that one. And how they achieved it, this success by this Pfizer company as well as Merck company, who also have to produce, what they did is they appointed a chemical engineer and a microbiologist. So they appointed them to work together. You have to work together, that's all. You are coming from a different background, you are having a different background. You are well versed in making unit operation and unit processes, you are well versed in making this penicillin. So what to do, you have to work together and we have to make this kind of facility, production facility, to produce a huge amount of this one. That's what it is, like two souls in one, two souls in one man. So that way the two people have to work as a one man, so which has led to this thing. So what is the advantage? The moment these people started working together, as I pointed out earlier, it was less than gold, amount of gold in seawater, that is like 0.001 grams per liter of broth solution. We call it as broth solution. Okay, so now people are able to report, say for example by 2000 we are able to get some 50 grams per liter of 50 grams of penicillin per liter of broth solution. We'll see what is broth solution in detail later. Okay, so this was the thing. Okay, so what they needed to achieve this, there are a lot of things have been done with respect to biochemical engineering. One is with respect to microbiology point of view, we have to do some mold physiology that is involved. What are the various concepts or what are the techniques or skills required to make this successful? Was there was mold physiology, and we have to understand the metabolic pathways, and we should understand the penicillin structure. Okay, so we should know what are the various methods of mutation. All these have been done. It's not that simply in overnight we became Obama. Okay, 0.001 gram to 50 grams are achieved by understanding in detail or dedicatedly people working together, and how to select a particular selection of mold genetics. And in addition, as a chemical engineer, we should know if it is done in large quantity, we need process control, and we should know the reactor design, right? So this is the first time. Before penicillin was produced, no chemical engineer would be in contact with a microbiologist. Okay, so that's what we can say, that before the invention of this penicillin, no chemical engineer was trained in this life sciences. When I say life sciences, it is molecular biology, biochemistry, microbiology. Okay, so we are never a chemical engineer was trained in. Okay, no chemical engineer was trained in life sciences courses. That way, this production of penicillin, or the necessity to produce more amount of penicillin, led to the change the mindset of the biochemical engineer. Okay, so that is why with this penicillin story, it is the best example which describes the mindset of a biochemical engineer, how it works, how he understands. Okay, because more than protein manufacture from a genetically engineered organism, it's a role of a biotechnologist. That's why biotechnology is more focused on altering the genetically modifying the DNAs, all that thing, and using it for other purposes. Okay, particularly when it comes to producing drugs or producing things for life-saving drugs, all that to be produced in large quantity, the mindset of a biochemical engineer is required. Okay, so that way we will continue in the next class in detail about the contents of this biochemical engineering course. To summarize, so in this lecture we have seen how this biochemical engineering can be divided into prehistoric era and modern era, and with the story of penicillin we have understood the importance of chemical engineering, knowing the basics of life sciences, so that he can serve as a biochemical engineer and serve the society by making some life-saving drugs in large quantity in timely more eco-friendly way and more effective way, because it should be available to patients at a lower cost also, right? So that way, biochemical engineer has a big role to play in this society. Okay, thank you so much for joining my classroom. Meet you in the next lecture. Thank you.